is Hannah Oliver Depp, and I am the owner and the head buyer at Loyalty Bookstores. We're based in downtown Silver Spring and on the Upshur Street in Petworth, DC. And we started as a pop-up in downtown Silver Spring in the holiday of 2018. And we opened our full DC store in 2019 and our full Silver Spring store in 2020 in February, just in time for the pandemic. But we are still there in both locations and incredibly supported by our neighborhood. Loyalty is an intersectional and diverse bookstore. We focus on the full breadth of diversity. So things that might be kind of on a token or on a display for a special month in a table in a more traditional bookstore are the sole focus of Loyalty. So everything's kind of flipped on its head as far as who has power and who has a voice in our store. I worked in bookselling for about 10 years before opening up Loyalty. And I'm from the area, and we didn't have a bookstore in downtown Silver Spring, which really ate at me because the community of this area is incredibly wide-ranging and very hungry for spaces to come and have communal gatherings, see themselves in books, and find friendly faces. And so I grew up going to bookshops in DC and Maryland and Virginia, and we used to have a lot of, local change. And we're lucky that we have so many independent bookstores, but there's always room for more. And there was still somehow not one in this neighborhood. So we're really, really honored to be here. The main reason I opened up Loyalty was for a community gathering space where people could come see themselves in books. And you really can't overestimate what it's like to have a wide range of stories told about you from people who are like you, as opposed to told at you or on your behalf by people not in your community. And the pictures of Black joy or queer joy or immigrant voices being heard from the whole breadth of experience, that is something that I wanted to take from token status to assumed to be present status, so that when those stories are the focus, it shouldn't be a surprise and it shouldn't be a rarity. And one of the ways that independent booksellers can have an impact on what gets published is because, despite us having a relatively small share of the market, we communicate more directly due to our small status with publishers about the books that we're bringing into the store. So we get to give feedback and say, we need more stories. We have 10-year-olds who are asking and begging for, yes, a mystery novel, which we need more chapter book mystery novels because they're a blast, but nobody in those chapter book mystery novels looks like the kid asking. Or if it might not look like them, they know how to read stories about white children, but white children don't get the opportunity to learn how to read stories about people who are not like them. And that's a disservice to everyone. We know what Montgomery County looks like. We know what DC looks like. And yet the books on the shelves weren't always showing us that. So I wanted to make sure that, yes, it's a safe place to come enter. But one of the reasons it's a safe place is because you are going to find yourself on the shelves. And we want more and more and more of those books to be published. It's getting a tiny bit better, but the numbers are still astoundingly bad coming from mainstream publishing. And it doesn't have to be that way. We wanted to show that our community had buying power and staying power. And one of the ways to do that was to open a bookstore in our community and then make sure that those books looked like our community. At the bookstore, when you walk in, you see a lot of cool gift items, whether it's stickers or pins or stationery or prints for your home, cups. They're very snarky. But they are also made by makers talking about their experience, whether that's snarky or not. It's pay Black women what they're worth, but not just for diversity cred mugs. They are trans rights or human rights stickers. They're made by Black women makers and queer makers, right? And so that's a way of, the margins in small businesses, especially bookstores, are very thin. But what buying power we have, we want to pour back into all of our communities. So we try to source as much as possible from makers who reflect our community. And so if you're coming in for a birthday present, you might get a book, you might also get a sticker. All of that is going back into our community, both financially and just building each other up. We want to be a stop to find something unexpected. There's no point going to a small business if it looks just like every other business. So we really, really work hard to curate everything that's in the store to be a unique and exciting experience. One of the best things, every bookstore person can talk to you about this, but one of the best things is when a kid walks in to your bookstore and they're like, "This is my space," because they just, like, walk in and they, like, plop themselves down on the carpet and they, like, grab a book and they're just like, "This is my area and I'm gonna sit here and read this book," and or they find a stuffy that is, like, it's their favorite book character and it's a stuffy, or, a game they like, or just literally anything that makes them feel kind of like this is a domain, this is a space for them to explore. And their parents know that they can come. I mean, we get asked some amazing questions about really specific books because people are looking for books to, address a question their child's asking them in a way, in language their kid's going to understand, and maybe even help them learn. I've learned a lot by reading children's books, right? There's so much more breadth of understanding about what kids are going through and what is like how to talk to them at their developmental stages and help them grow, than when I was reading kids books. I just like, we unpack boxes of kids books all the time, and it's this beautiful goodie of being like, oh my gosh, why did wish this book had been there when I was a kid? And you want to give kids that experience. And so it is a really, really wonderful moment when, the first time a kid comes in and they're kind of poking around. And then the second time they come in and they're like, I know this place, this is my place. There are very, very few things better than that. Loyalty's main plan and main goal is to stay committed to our community and be physically present in the community. Small business is strange and hard, and there's, ever growing things like taxes and rent and all of those things. But the reason the store is called Loyalty is because we are loyal to this community and the community is loyal to us. It's a two-way street, to keep a small business open and to keep freedom of expression going. And so our main goal is to do whatever it takes to stay in our community. And from there, we hope to grow into more communities so we can meet them where they're at and listen to them and grow with them and help push that community forward. I'm from this area. I want to be in this area for the rest of my life. And so we're going to make sure that happens. Our immediate future plans are to keep expanding our events program and bring more amazing authors, both immediately from the community or from outside the community that have something to share with our community or some connection, to Silver Spring and to DC, and keep inviting people in and figuring out safe ways to have events, whether that's virtual or outside, or very small ticketed intimate events so that not too much exposure is happening. We are committed to creating a space that reaches as many people as possible in the safest way possible. We're so excited that Montgomery County Pride literally happens across the street from the bookstore. I mean, I'm going to pretend that I planned that, but it is one of the reasons to be in downtown Silver Spring because so much great community action happens there. But I love, love, love that Pride is happening. There's been celebrations all week long, but they're really, kicking it up a notch this weekend. And we're going to be at the market tabling, showing everybody all of our awesome queer literature, both classics and a lot of new stuff that's come out, making sure people know about the pressures, both locally and nationally, to get these books away from children as opposed to into their hands where they are most needed, into adults who miss the chance to see themselves as children. So we're going to be doing a little activism as well as a little book selling because those go together really well. But we're so excited about Montgomery County Pride.